Last night we had a wild storm come through this area. It was very unexpected. There was crazy rain, thunder, lightning. I don't think the lightning stopped all night. It probably went for like 8 hours. And so we're gonna go check and see how the homestead did, if it survived the storm, because we were not expecting it. It wasn't predicted to go through this area, and we didn't prepare, which is unfortunate. So we're gonna go check on, see if all the animals are still in their pastures or if they escaped, see how the hay's doing, because we might have forgot to cover up some. So that's really unfortunate. And check on the garden, check on the cabin, and see how everything's doing. We currently don't live on our homestead because our cabin isn't finished yet. We're working on the build, as you've probably seen our videos working on that, and we're going to be continuing working on that. But today we got to see how things survive the storm. So come along with me as we check out the homestead. There you go. Well,
rain is flooding.
You see the horses?
Yeah, ladies at back.
Oh, the barn is soaked. What a mess. If we had have known, we would have shut the big barn doors, but because we didn't, the floor is absolutely saturated. But on the plus side, the horses are still in their pastures, so that's good. And the horses are still in the barn. We have a new horse. She arrived last night. I felt so bad for the poor thing. She's a new boarder. We keep boarders to help pay for our own animals, but she's still in her stall. So we're gonna check on her, make sure she's all right, and then I'll be putting her out so she can have a little breather. But all the animals are in their pen. So first thing to check, that's a good thing. Okay, now we gotta see how the hay is. I'm not so confident about that one. Hi, Misty. Hey, girl. You survived? Oh my gracious, it was an awful bad welcoming night for you. Oh, it's a horrible start to the place, huh? Does it always be this bad, this place? Well, I'm glad you're still here, little princess. Okay, ready to go outside? You were laying down. That's a good sign. You got wood chips in your hair. And you're like, I don't know about this place. Oh, you're a pretty girl. Okay, we'll go outside. And oh, look, the cat survived. There's Pussycat. He found a place to hide. And Digger, Pony. Oh, man. You survived, Digger? You kept the new girl company? Yeah. Good boy. You stay nice and dry. You two were lucky. Actually, we're in the barn. How's the hay upstairs?
It's actually not too bad.
By the open window?
Only one bale got kind of wet.
I'll have to bring that one down.
Hey, smoky.
The wet hay here, at least, like, we have water on the ground, but
yeah,
at least the water isn't actually in at the hay, so that's good. Okay, I'll be back for you two in just a minute. Okay. What about the hay over here? Let's see what it is. It's definitely wet-ish. So this is damp, so that's unfortunate. But up here's even wet, Eric. The tarp didn't work. Like, feel up under there. It's not dry.
yeah.
Is it on top dry? Not really.
Not really. It's not like so.
So this year we have a lot more animals on the property, and so we ran out of hay storage, and our hay conveyor broke anyways. We had to put hay outside and put this tarp over it, but this tarp didn't do it so good. The hay's a little bit wet, so we're going to have to hopefully open it up, hopefully just wet on the surface, and maybe it'll dry a little bit. And also, we'll have to use up anything that's wet. We'll have to use it first. And the reason is you don't want wet hay for a couple reasons. One, if it's moldy, it can make horses sick, and it will go moldy if it's wet. But also, if your hay's wet and you put it up in the hayloft, it can start a barn fire. It's a lot more combustible when it's wet. So either way, you don't want wet hay. And we actually have more hay coming today, and we fixed the conveyor, so right there. That's our conveyor. So hopefully it's working. The chain kept falling off it. So we want to be able to put this last load of hay in the hayloft. Eric went up there and checked, and he said only one bale was really wet, which is good. So we left the hayloft door up here open. We weren't realizing that it was going to be raining, and we thought that if the wind happened to be coming this direction, it would have blown right into the hayloft, but it must have been going this way because the end bales of our stack here are wet, but only one got wet in the hayloft, so that's really good. But we're going to have to just sort through the hay, whatever's wet, feed out first so we don't have problems. Now we'll go check on Bossy Cow because I can hear her mooing. Hi lady, you look okay. Survived, girl? And how about you, Bossy Cow?
He's a little wet.
You're a little wet? I bet you're a little wet.
You probably got in under those trees, though.
Yeah, she's got a bit of shelter.
She just wants
She
her
says-
breakfast.
I want my breakfast, people. Hurry it up. Oh, the flies have come out. She's getting sassy in her old age. Hey, lady, you're being a good girl.
Her hay's probably soaked.
Yeah, her hay bale is probably ruined. Last time, I covered it with a tarp.
Yeah.
But I didn't know to do that this time. Hey, pretty girl.
She's got a haircut.
Oh, she's looking all snazzy. We trimmed up her mane. She had her feet done yesterday, so you can see her nice new toes. We're so glad. It had been way too long, and we couldn't find a farrier that would do her anyways. So we finally got her done. We're really thankful. And then while she was sedated, because she's not great for the farrier, she was only done in stocks before we owned her, which is like they put them in a little tight chute thing and lift them up, and then they don't have to be taught how to pick their feet up. So because of that, since we got her, she doesn't like to have her feet picked up at all, and she weighs like 2,000 pounds, so it's hard to pick her feet up. And so we're working on it, but we aren't there yet, and her feet needed done. So we had to sedate her, and while she was sedated, we trimmed her mane up and made her all looking snazzy. And her tail. Eric did her tail. Let's see. Where's her tail? There's her tail. Hey, you looking good, pretty girl? And so we'd rather not sedate her, but it's better than not getting her feet done and her being in pain. So, ready for breakfast, fit lady? Oh yeah, she says, bring me my food, huh? Bring me my food. Eric, before we do the chores, do you want to go check on the cabin? You gotta go? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna go check on the cabin and shut the windows. And then I'll come back and do the chores. Are you gonna feed anyone before you go? Okay, I'll do the chores. Yeah, you wanna do the boys? Okay, thanks. Bye. Love you too. So everyone's looking for their food, but before we do that, I just want to go check how the cabin fared. And we did not shut the windows because we weren't expecting it, as I've said like 10 times already. So let's go check the cabin, see if anything's too wet on the inside, and then we'll come back and feed the crew here. And behind me, you see we have some fence posts in. So we're actually expanding Lady's section because the current section she's in is nice and for her lots of space, but there's no shelter really. And so here behind us, there's lots of trees, and we want to expand in here so she has trees as shelter, and we don't have to build something and for this winter. So that's our plan for here. So Eric's just heading out. Okay, now that he's gone, we're gonna go check the cabin. Lots of wet areas. We put in a drain system back behind us here because we had a really big problem with our water in our driveway, but clearly it's not working great. So we gotta work on that. We put our driveway in a few years ago now, and a little road down to the cabin, but it's been washed out anytime it rains really hard. So we're gonna have to work on improving that when we get down in our cabin. It's every time well, this is a crazy rain. I don't know if it's rained that hard. It's been a long time since it's rained that hard. It was wild, but I can tell that there's more of our road that's washed away, so we definitely need to work on that. Oh, there's a lot of it that's washed away. Shoot, I'll show you. See? All here, that shouldn't look like a river. That's washed away a lot more in that last rain. It's flowed down here. storms ended up over there. So we really need to add a ditch system to our road. So the cabin from this side looks decent, but these two windows here are the ones I'm a little concerned about because I think the rain was coming that direction based off the hay, and so I'm gonna check that. And then also right here we had stacked wood that had been drying for 25 years in Eric's parents' barn, and we were gonna use it today or tomorrow on one of the walls inside. And we're like, oh, it'll be okay for the night. It's not supposed to rain until tomorrow. It was the driest you possibly could get for wood. And now it's soaked. And it's 16 feet long, so that's why it's outside. So we're probably going to have to put it in the cabin and wait a few weeks now to get it dried out. So these are beautiful pine boards. They are 1 by 8 by 16, and they're so nice. But now we'll have to let them dry. They're still beautiful, but they're good and wet now. They've had a good soaking. So let's go inside the cabin. Welcome. Hey, it's not wet. It's exciting. Let's see. It's like a little damp, but not bad at all. Let's check upstairs. If you haven't seen, we've had some progress. We have all the drip rock in up here. This window's not too wet, so that's good. Not bad. Over here, like it's damp, but it's not soaked. The drip rock survived, so that's good. It'll dry out. This is the room we have me and Eric working the other day, getting it all good and the drip rock on, so that's exciting. Well, the cabin fared pretty good, not wet at all inside, so that's exciting. Everything except for the wood we left outside. That was our fault. But we weren't expecting rain, so everything but this did all right, and this will dry. Well, it's not the end of the world, so that's really good. Now it's time to head up and feed the animals. I've been hearing them moo and neigh, and so we'll do the chores, and then after the chores, I want to check on the garden and see how it fared through the storm. Bigger? Ready to roll, pony? Smokey, you wanna go up in the hay? Do a big jump. Hi, lady. Hi, bossy. Bossy's first. Just a minute, girl. Let me get it into you. Back. Oh, they love the green. Okay, now for yours, lady. Yeah. Yummy, yummy. Oh, yummy, yummy. You're being very patient, good boy. There you go, digger. And below, we just need to pile. Hello. have lots of hay. Morning, chickens. Girls look a little wet. A little bit wet. Oh, your food is wet. A little bit of dry stuff. So the chickens get a little wet, but they survive. They're okay. They can get up and behind me here into their little roost, and it's not exactly watertight, but they stay pretty dry. So they're happy now with some dry food. They don't really like eating the wet food, and so we'll see if they have any eggs, but they're doing pretty good. No eggs. It is starting to get hot. Whew, gracious. So the chickens, they didn't lay any eggs. I'm not surprised. It was pretty stormy outside, and they are getting older, so they're not laying as well as they used to, but they're doing pretty good, and we're gonna keep them for a while longer. We really like these chickens, and so maybe we'll have some eggs this afternoon once it settles down and warms up and they're a little happier. So now that the barn chores are done, we're gonna check on the garden. Oh, the sunflowers look so pretty. We finally have a sunflower. Actually, multiple sunflowers. I'm so excited. We've been waiting for them to grow for a while now, and they look so beautiful. So that's exciting that they survived the storm. The petals aren't all gone. And now on to the tomatoes, who they don't look so hot, but that's all right. It's rather embarrassing to show you my tomatoes because they look awful, absolutely awful. But it's the reality of gardening. Sometimes things do not look so pretty. The flowers, they look beautiful. The tomatoes look haggard. But that's because we've had so much rain this season, not just last night, but all summer long. We've had an insane amount of rain, and the blight has just killed them. So I've been leaving the tomatoes on the plants to let them ripen, and then I go through every day and pick off the ones that have fallen on the ground or the ones that are ready. So I'll go through and do that. Here is my tomato haul. I got my tomatoes all in, and that's pretty much it for the Scotian tomatoes. I still have my paste tomatoes on the vine. They're not quite ripe yet, so I'll leave those and I'll make my tomato sauce in a few weeks. And then I still have a few cherry tomatoes to ripen, but Scotians are our main tomato, and they ripened super early this year, and so this is the last of them. I've harvested some already, and I'm going to be making, I made a bunch of salsa, and I'm going to be making canned tomatoes. I love doing that. If I have too much to process right now, all I do is let them dry off a little bit, and then I throw them in the freezer, and then I'll process them later in the winter when I have time. Potatoes are starting to die out, which is good. We've been eating them, and that means they're getting close to being done, and when the tops die. So we'll be leaving those in the ground until it's a lot cooler. It is crazy hot for September, and so we're gonna leave them in, and they'll be good until there's like a hard frost, and then we'll have them out, and hopefully by then the temperatures will be cool enough that we can cold store them. And then we have quite a few cucumbers along here. We have them growing on the trellis here, and I've made up a lot of pickles. I need to harvest them. A lot of them are overgrown, but it's getting towards the end of the gardening season, and sometimes things just start looking a little overgrown, but I need to make a few more batches of dill pickles, so I gotta harvest some of those. And I might leave them for another day just because I know I'm not going to have time today or tomorrow to make dills. So I'll take the tomatoes, but I'll leave the cukes. Even though they're going to get a little big, I'll just make the spear dill pickles instead of the slices, and then it's not as bad if they're overgrown. The next thing I need to do is I need to move our tractor because a load of hay is coming and the tractor's in the way. We were using the tractor to put fence posts in yesterday, and so we got to move the tractor out of the way so that the wagon of hay can get down where it needs to be to go up the hay conveyor to get into the hayloft. So let's go move the tractor. keys would be helpful. Okay, keys. Got the keys. The backhoe is massive, but slightly off the ground, so I can back up the tractor. There we go. So now we get the tractor moved. We'll wait and the hay should be here pretty soon and we'll be able to put it up in. I'm pretty happy with how the homestead survived the storm, the unexpected storm we were not at all prepared for. We lost, well, we didn't lose anything. We have a little bit of hay that needs to be fed out first because it's wet and the wood needs to dry, so we definitely should have been prepared more, but overall pretty good. Everyone did well. And hopefully we'll have some dry weather. It looks like rain though in the forecast. So we're going to need to prepare better tonight for the rain coming next week. But hopefully today the wind's picked up a little bit, the sun's come out, and hopefully things will dry up a little bit for us. But getting this last load of hay in will be really good and we'll be all done our hay for the season. So that will be great. So the hay is in, well, part of it's in. We were able to get most of it upstairs. We had to put some bales outside because we're just full to the brim. We have more animals here than we usually do in past years, so we have more hay, and so we have some outside under tarps we're going to store for a little while. It's good to have the hay in, and I'm glad that the garden fared pretty well. I have those tomatoes to process, and nothing was too bad from the rain, and so we survived the storm, and it's looking like it's going to be a sunny day before rain comes again next week. For more homesteading videos and cabin build, follow us along as we build our off-grid homestead. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.